In my experience, 5th edition games usually don't go to high level. AD&D games did, and 3.5 games did fairly often. But 5e seems pretty focused on low to mid levels. So when I get a cool idea for a character, but it doesn't really kick in into a high level, I usually put it aside. That sort of happened this time. But then I saw that all of the lower levels were pretty great too. I realized I would enjoy playing this character even if it never made it to high level. So here it is for your consideration. Hi everyone, and welcome to a most honorable episode of The Dungeon Crashers. I'm Guy.
And I'm Zapil. In the comments of our Black Dragonborn video, Tusatilla 1967 asked if we were doing the Metallic Dragonborn next and said if so, they would like to see a Bronze Dragonborn Barbarian. And that is what we are going to do today. Well, sort of. Also in the comments on the poll, a user with a lot of numbers and letters in their name commented that they would like to see a Metallic Dragonborn being more tactical and strategic than the Chromatic, and we agree. So this won't be the typical barbarian. Before we get started, be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our exciting D&D content. We are using the Metallic Dragonborn from Fitzbin's Treasury of Dragons. They are similar to the Chromatic Dragonborn, but they have some advantages. They have the same basic traits, their size is medium, they have a speed of 30 feet, and they also have draconic ancestry that comes from the Metallic Dragons, in this case bronze, which gives them affinity for lightning. Like Chromatic Dragonborn, they get a breath weapon, however it is a 15-foot cone instead of a line. Creatures in the cone must make a dexterity save or take 1d10 of damage, half if they save. This damage increases by 1d10 at 5th, 11th, and 17th level, just like a cantrip. The DC for this save is 8 plus the Constitution and proficiency modifiers. When taking the attack action, they can substitute the breath weapon for one of their attacks. Like Chromatic Dragonborn, they gain resistance to the damage type of their breath weapon. However, they don't gain the ability to become immune to that damage like Chromatic Dragonborn do at 5th level. Instead, at 5th level, they gain a second breath weapon that they can use once per long rest. They can substitute one of their attacks with a 15-foot cone that can either be Repulsing Breath that causes creatures in the cone who fail a strength save to be knocked back 20 feet and fall prone, or Enervating Breath that causes creatures who fail a Constitution save to be incapacitated until the start of the Dragonborn's next turn. Both of these effects can be very powerful if multiple enemies are caught in the cone. Also, because of the way the ability is written, if the Dragonborn has extra attack, he could use his Lightning Breath as one of the attacks and his Metallic Breath in the same turn. None of the published backgrounds really suit this character, so we are going to create our own, and we are calling it the Goshi background. The Goshi means rural samurai that were lower ranking than other samurai but were allowed to farm their land and wear swords and had to perform military service. This background gives them the skills Perception and Insight. Although a lower rank than the other samurai, they still practice Bushido and devoted time to art and contemplation. They gain proficiency in calligraphy supplies and their choice of painter supplies, potter's tools, or sculptor's tools. Or they can instead take proficiency with a musical instrument of their choice. The main feature of this background is social standing. In their culture and when they are in their lord's domain, they can find food and lodging and can arrange meetings with samurai of higher rank. While samurai are obviously drawn from Japanese culture, in 5th edition they are simply described as fierce and disciplined warriors and don't need to be human or any particular race. Their culture also doesn't have to draw heavily from Japanese culture. A hobgoblin samurai might have an entirely different lifestyle and customs than a human one, but would still probably be some sort of nobility in some sort of feudal society. Metallic Dragonborn get the ability scores boost found in Fitzbins, which are 3+1 bonuses that can be put wherever you want, but no more than 2 on a single ability. For ability scores, we use the point buy, and we put a 15 on strength, making it 16 with our first bonus point. We put a 13 on dexterity, making it 14 with our second bonus point, and we put a 13 on constitution, making it 14 with the last bonus point. We put an 8 on intelligence. Our hero isn't stupid, but has no aptitude for scholarly pursuits. And we put a 12 on both wisdom and charisma. What he lacks in academic abilities, he makes up for with artistic ability, spiritual discipline, and mastery of etiquette.
Our hero is the son of the local lord. Though a noble among his people, his family wasn't wealthy or powerful. They held their land against invaders, cared for the welfare of the peasants on their land, brought in the harvest, and hopefully made enough coin to support their household and pay tribute to their superiors. Though not luxurious, life was good. His father kept a comfortable home and saw that our hero was well trained. The city folk call the country folk barbarians, but they aren't savages. Our hero received education in the same arts that a city noble would. The difference was that he had no city walls to protect him from bandits and monsters, and had to take up his sword and protect his people. Our hero begins as a first-level barbarian. He gets 2 skills from the barbarian list, and he takes athletics and intimidation. Life as a country lord has made him fit and strong, and though he is polite and soft-spoken when at peace, when roused to anger he's fearsome to behold. Barbarians get proficiency with simple and martial weapons, shields, and light and medium armor. They are also proficient with strength and constitution saves. First-level barbarians gain rage. On their turn, they can use a bonus action to enter a rage that lasts for 1 minute or until they have a turn where they don't attack or take damage. While raging, they gain advantage on strength saves and checks, and when attacking using strength, they gain a bonus to their damage rolls that starts at 2 and improves as they gain levels. And they gain resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. Unlike the resistance possessed by some creatures, a barbarian's resistance is to all damage of these types, even when caused by spells or magical weapons. They also gain unarmored defense. When unarmored, their armor class is equal to 10 plus their dexterity and constitution modifiers, and they can use its shield and still get this bonus. Our hero, however, prefers to fight in the best medium armor he can afford. He also uses a great sword and carries several javelins for range attacks and a dagger. We took our first level as a barbarian for both style and story reasons. In our campaign, barbarians are born, not made, so usually if you want to play a barbarian, you start as a barbarian. This isn't a hard rule, but if you start as another class and went to multi-class as barbarian, there needs to be something in your background or something that happened in the game to explain why you became a barbarian.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, it is to highlight that even though he is a noble, he didn't have a pampered or sheltered upbringing. He learned swordsmanship fighting enemies alongside his father, not from some hired swordmaster. However, starting as a barbarian does put off getting extra attack for 1 level, so this build could start with 5 levels of fighter before taking barbarian levels. At 2nd level, our hero takes 1st level of fighter. He gains a fighting style and he takes great weapon fighting, letting him re-roll 1s and 2s on damage dice when using a heavy weapon. When using a greatsword that has 2d6 for damage, this can really improve his average damage.
Mm-hmm.
If using a weapon that deals 1d10 or 1d12 damage, this is a lot less useful, and it could be better to take something else like defense. First level fighters also gain second wind, allowing them to use a bonus action to heal 1d10 plus their fighter level and damage once per short or long rest. At 3rd level, he takes 2nd level fighter, getting action surge. Once for short or long rests, he can take an extra action on his turn. This could be used to take a second attack action, but it could also be used to take the dodge or dash action, and then make an attack. When he comes of age, he gains the rank of samurai like his father. He swears loyalty to his liege and vows to serve him. Though a great honor for country samurai like himself, it is often just a formality, and he expects his life to continue much as it was before. However, this was not to be. His lord came personally to the village to bestow the honor upon him and accept his oath. Though pleased, he also worried that this unexpected honor would come with a price, and he wasn't mistaken. The Lord informed him that his adviser, a mystic who is both a priest and a monk, has seen a vision of great evil emerging in the west, an evil involving the mother of evil dragons, and this monk was to venture west to discover the nature of this evil. In his prayers, the monk was given another vision of a young bronze warrior who would accompany him on the journey, and our hero is this warrior. The Lord calls upon our hero to accompany this monk on his quest.
At 4th level, he becomes a 3rd level fighter, and he takes his martial art type, which is samurai from Xanathar's Guide to Everything. He gains proficiency in a musical instrument or a skill from among history, insight, performance, or persuasion, and he chooses persuasion. He also gains fighting spirit. 3 times per long rest, he can use a bonus action to give himself advantage on all of his attacks until the end of the current turn. When he does, he also gains 5 temporary hit points. The number of hit points becomes 10 at 10th level and 15th at 15th level. We like this ability, but limited to 3 uses seems a little weak and doesn't really fit with the way the class features usually work. It would make more sense if it was either something that recharged on a short rest, like the other fighter abilities, or was a number of times per day equal to proficiency bonus, or a number that increased at a certain level, like a Battle Master's number of superiority dice. Even limited as it is still a nice ability, but a little underwhelming compared to the other subclasses. At 5th level, he becomes a 4th level of fighter, getting an ability score improvement or a feat, and he takes the Great Weapon Master feat. On his turn, when he crits or kills a creature using a melee weapon, he can make one melee weapon attack as a bonus action, and when making an attack, he can subtract 5 from the attack roll and add 10 to the damage roll from the attack. Even though a -5 penalty is substantial, this is usually worth doing unless the opponent is very well armored. His lightning and breath improves, adding a second d10 to the damage, and he gains the metallic breath weapon that I mentioned earlier. At 6th level, he becomes 5th level of fighter, getting extra attack, allowing him to make 2 attacks instead of 1 when he takes the attack action. At 7th level, he becomes a 6th level of fighter, getting another ability score improvement or feat, and he uses it to increase his strength to 18. This will improve his attacks, making his Great Weapon Master more reliable.
During their travels, our hero and the monkey travels with encounter other Dragonborn. All of them have been called in some way to confront this evil. They join forces in hopes that combining their strength will help them battle the minions of Tiamat. They have already faced many trials on their journey, but their quest is just beginning. The Dragon Queen's minions are rampaging across the countryside, burning villages, slaughtering militias, and hunting down those who fight for good wherever they can be found. At 8th level, he becomes a 2nd level barbarian. He gains danger sense, which gives him advantage on dexterity saves against effects he can see, such as traps or spells, as long as he isn't blinded or deafened. He also gains reckless attack. When he makes his first attack on his turn, he can choose to attack recklessly, getting advantage on all attacks that turn, but opponents also get advantage to attack him. This is a high-risk, high-reward maneuver, but he is fearless and devoted and won't hesitate to risk his life in order to destroy his enemies. Our hero's devotion and ferocity in battling evil has gained him the favor of the gods, who reward his devotion with greater power and inspire him to never falter in battle against the forces of evil. At 9th level, he becomes a 3rd level barbarian, getting a primal path, and he becomes a zealot. The description in the book claims that gods that inspire zealotry in their followers are often evil and rarely good, but I can't see why. The class abilities seem perfectly suited to a holy warrior. As a zealot, he is tasked to fight evil for as long as he lives, and even death does not excuse him from his duty. If a spell is cast to restore him to life, the caster does not need to use any material components. He also gains another use of rage, and when raging, he has divine fury. The first weapon attack he hits with on each of his turns deal an additional radiant damage equal to 1d6 plus half his barbarian level. At 10th level, he becomes a 4th level barbarian, getting another ability score improvement or feat, and he improves his constitution to 16. He really needs the extra hit points, and will also increase the save DC of his breath weapons. This also makes his unarmored defense a possible alternative, but still not as good as wearing armor.
Mm-hmm. At 11th level, he becomes a 7th level fighter, and from samurai, he becomes an elegant courtier. While battle is his purpose, he knows that the warrior is more than just the sword. Diplomacy and courtesy are also roles that a warrior must play. So when making a persuasion check, he adds his bonus equal to his charisma modifier. His spiritual discipline and focus also strengthens his mind, giving him proficiency with wisdom saves. This is excellent. Mind-affecting spells are often the biggest weakness of barbarians and fighters, so getting proficiency on wisdom saves helps a lot. Also in 5e, the most common saves are dexterity, wisdom, and constitution. Our hero has proficiency in 2 of these and advantage on the 3rd, and has a positive scores in all 3. He also has proficiency with strength saves and has a positive charisma modifier, so intelligence saves are his real only weakness. At 12th level, he becomes an 8th level fighter, getting another ability score improvement or a feat, and he takes the slasher feat. It increases his strength to 19, and once on each of his turns, when he strikes an enemy with a slashing weapon, he can reduce its speed by 10 until the start of his next turn, and when he critically hits a creature with a slashing weapon, it gains disadvantage on all its attack rolls until the start of your next turn. At 13th level, he becomes a 9th level fighter, gaining a use of Indomitable. Once per long rest, when he fails his saving throw, he can re-roll it. This is a nice ability, but as we've said before on the Dungeon Crashers, there is no reason it should be limited to just once per long rest. If it is recharged on a short rest, it would be consistent with the other fighter abilities like Second Wind and Action Surge, and it wouldn't be overpowered. Fighters are a little lacking in powerful abilities compared to the other classes, and making this change would even it up a little bit without adding anything overpowered. At 14th level, he becomes a 10th level fighter, and from Samurai, he gains Tireless Spirit. Whenever he rolls initiative for combat and has no uses of Fighting Spirit left, he gains 1. This is a nice upgrade. Now he will have at least 1 use per fight in a typical adventuring day. His temporary hit points he gains also become 10 instead of 5.
Despite winning many victories, our hero and his companions seem to be losing the war. The forces of evil are many, and it seems for every one that is killed, 2 more show up to take their place. The foes are not just evil dragonborn and lizard folk, but also full dragons and devils from the hells. The forces of good are a resistance comprised of good dragonborn, humans, and the occasional elf or dwarf. Some good dragons have awakened to join the struggle, but even though their power is undeniable, their numbers are few. Tiamat's captains remain elusive, and our heroes have yet to force them into open battle. At 15th level, he becomes an 11th level fighter, gaining improved extra attack. Now he can attack 3 times instead of 4 when taking the attack action. At this point, he's capable of doing considerable damage. Reckless attack and fighting spirit make using Great Weapon Master very reliable, so he'll be using it on most attacks. And with Great Weapon Fighting bringing up his average damage, he will be doing more than 20 damage per attack on average, and more when raging. At 16th level, he becomes a 12th level fighter, getting another ability score improvement or feat, and he takes the Dragon Fear feat. Proficiency times per day, he can substitute a roar for one of his breath weapons. When he does, all enemies within 30 feet make a wisdom saving throw with a DC of 8 plus charisma and proficiency modifiers, or be frightened for 1 minute. If they take damage, they can make another saving throw. Frightened is a powerful effect to use on a group of enemies, and 30 feet is large enough area that he's likely to catch several. This feat also lets him cap his strength at 20. At 17th level, he becomes a 13th level fighter, getting a second use of Indomitable. Having 2 of these, even if only 1 per long rest, combined with his generally good saving throws, will give him strong resistance to enemy spells and other abilities. His danger sense makes this especially true against attacks that require a dexterity save. His breath weapon improves here as well, and now deals 4d10 lightning damage. The war is going badly. The forces of evil are everywhere. The forces of good seem ever victorious, winning battle after battle, outmaneuvering their enemies and killing more than they lose, but their numbers dwindle with every battle, while the enemies seem to have no end of reserves. The warriors of good have grown strong and hardened and will not give up the fight no matter the odds, but without reinforcements, defeat seems inevitable.
At 18th level, our hero becomes 14th level of fighter, gaining another ability, boost, or a feat, and he's going to increase his constitution to 18, primarily for the extra hit points, but the improved saving throws and breath weapon DC are also be helpful. At 19th level, he becomes a 15th level of fighter, and from Samurai, he gets Rapid Strike. Once per turn, when attacking an enemy with advantage, he can give up the advantage for the attack and make an additional attack as part of the same action. This ability doesn't say that the extra attack doesn't get advantage, so if you have advantage on all your attacks from Fighting Spirit or Reckless Attack, you don't really sacrifice anything to use this. You give up advantage on one attack, but gain extra attack that does have advantage. This is the trick that Guy mentioned at the beginning that inspired this build. Having Reckless Attack means he can use this ability every turn, getting a consistent 4th attack, instead of only be able to use it with his Fighting Spirit. This is a great ability and would be very powerful if he got it before 19th level, that is. Unfortunately, the absolute earliest that this could happen is 17th level, and that would require giving up on a lot of other abilities, so 19th is the earliest that it is practical. You have potentially the same number of attacks that you would have at 20th level fighter and get the advantages that come from your barbarian levels as well. The temporary hit points he gets from Fighting Spirit increase here as well from 10 to 15. At 20th level, our hero becomes a 16th level fighter, gaining a last ability score improvement or a feat, and he's going to use it to cap his constitution at 20.
The war has been fought in many lands on many planes of existence. Though Tiamat's forces have conquered much, they have not won. The forces of good are still powerful. The good dragonborn stand in command of a legion of humans, dwarves, elves, and other good folk. Many powerful metallic dragons have joined the fight, as have angelic beings of great power. Tiamat may think she has won, but the war will never be over as long as good people refuse to bow to wickedness. This is a versatile and powerful character, strong at dealing damage, but also resilient and able to last through a fight. He's also useful in social situations and has the ability to be a good leader. His signature ability of using Rapid Strike with Reckless Attack comes too late in the build to be a defining feature, but it's really good when he does get it. At lower levels, all of the other class abilities complement each other as well, both as a fighting style, but also as a character concept. A Samurai Zealot to me seems perfect. He is disciplined and focused and absolutely unafraid of death. He will always be the last one to leave a battle, or he will die honorably trying to fight to the end. It seems just like what is portrayed in samurai movies.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed this build and will tell us what you think in the comments below, along with any suggestions, questions, or build ideas. And please join us next time when we build the Silver Dragonborn. Until then,
cheers.